Okay, GBA, we are live. We are recording. Phone lines are open. Go for it.
Thank you, Matt, and welcome to the Town of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for September 27th, 2022. We have 4 scheduled public hearings this evening, and I'll read the first one in. We'll get going on that. First public hearing, applicant is Sylvia Wong at 25 Surf Drive in Amagansett, Suffolk, tax map number 300-174-3-4.1. The size and location is 26,000 square feet at 25 Surf Drive, Beach Hampton section, Amagansett. The description is to construct a 200 square foot swimming pool, 642 square foot pool deck, pool equipment, pool fencing, and gates, including driveway gates, propane tanks, to remove a portion of the driveway for revegetation and the removal of invasive bamboo within wetlands, and to upgrade a sanitary system on a parcel of land that contains freshwater wetlands. The relief sought is a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255-420 and any other relief necessary from East Hampton Town Code. The zoning district is B residence, AE flood zone, elevation 10, and the secret class is type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
We do. Pursuant to section 255-9-23 of the Town of East Hampton Code, we have service on September 14, 2022, which is more than 10 days prior to this hearing.
Thank you. And Member McGivern, I think this is your report.
Well, let's start with the official notice. I took a picture of the official notice. It's duly posted. That's the driveway entrance. The driveway, if you remember from the map, is sort of long U or horseshoe shape. So this is the entrance. Next. That's looking down the street, and basically where my car is parked is the other access point of the driveway that they're going to revegetate. I just was trying to get a sense of the distance covered by the driveway. Another driveway picture. This is walking into the driveway, and you can see on the right, or to my right, is the split rail fence and the railroad ties that they plan on taking out. That's looking at the house. The house is sort of a hodgepodge of 2 interconnected buildings. And that's a doorway that sort of goes to a space. I think if you take the next picture, this space between the 2 houses, there's a charming sort of rock garden to one side. And to the other side, if you could, there's an outdoor shower, which is on the left there. That's the outdoor shower. And that's the right side that joins between the 2 buildings, I guess. More driveway photos. At the very end, you can see they've set up a fire pit and some chairs, which is approximately where I think the point that they're going to revegetate beyond. Next, that's just closer up. It's this is turning to the left is the present deck and lawn. Next, it's another shot of the lawn. Next, this is the space between where I showed you the fire pit was and the end of the driveway, which they blocked off with some trees and planters, which they're going to apparently revegetate. They proposed. Next. This is looking back from the end of the driveway towards the fire pit. Next. I tried to take some pictures of bamboo. That's some of the bamboo that's along the driveway. Next. This is beyond the lawn, opposite the deck is sort of wild, overgrown area. where next, there's some bamboo. Next. I was trying to capture some of the bamboo, but I didn't do a good job. Next. That's the planter where the ends the driveway. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Joan?
No.
Thank you. We have an applicant here.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. There are two of us representing the applicant tonight. I'm David Filer from the firm of Whalen Filer at 535 Montauk Highway in Amagansett. And with me on this is Katie Osecki of East End Land Planning.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. The relief sought here tonight for this applicant is just a natural resource special permit. Just to be clear, there are no variances required here, so it is just the NRSP. The NRSP is needed for the addition of this swimming pool and the decking that goes with it. As the technical analysis memo states, all of the work that's being proposed is more than 100 feet from the wetland on the property, except for the abandonment of the antiquated septic system and an addition of a dry well, which is to alleviate runoff into the wetlands. So we think that there are a lot of positives here that far outweigh any potential negatives, and just wanted to go over them briefly with the board. Sylvia Wong is the applicant, and her proposal is to install a new IA low nitrogen septic system in the most ecologically appropriate part of the property, which is actually about 200 feet from the wetlands. So the wetlands, Tyler, do you mind putting up the landscape diagram? Okay, so the wetlands is that sort of trapezoidal shape, if I know my geometry correctly. That red thing in that sort of corner, which would be closest to the south, is the ocean. Right? So this property to the north is out towards Montauk Highway, to the south towards the ocean. So the wetlands in question are those ones in red there in the corner. The current septic system is only 15 feet from those wetlands. So the proposed new low nitrogen system, so the 200 feet, at least the fields, the trenches that are necessary for the new IA system. All of the services for this proposed pool are planned to be quite close to the pool. So that's the propane tank necessary, the pool equipment, the fencing, the dry well. It's close to the pool to sort of limit the clearing here. Part of this proposal, which we also think is a big positive, is that we're proposing removing 1,000 feet of driveway. As member McGivern photos, that driveway is kind of I would call it kind of a 1950s style driveway, where the idea is to get your car as close to the house as possible. And the driveway literally goes like right by the front door. And what the homeowner is seeking to do is to turn a small area of that gravel into green, into lawn. Much of the rest of the driveway all becomes revegetated. So as member McGivern pointed out, looking at the photos, the whole end of the driveway, if you look at this photo, this diagram here, where it becomes green, that's all revegetated with natives. And just this area in front of the house is where she's proposing some green space. So it's actually a reduction in the overall coverage for the property. We're actually going down in coverage. The idea here is less driveway, more revegetation with natives.
How much is the coverage going down?
About 300 and
It's on the survey, Terry.
On a survey?
Yeah.
okay.
Total total coverage.
Yeah,
Okay.
decreasing in coverage.
So existing is 7,224 and proposed is 6,889.
Yeah, I see.
So, less driveway, more natives, essentially.
I'm sorry, so you're not putting lawn in the driveway, you're putting,
The idea is that area that's gravel right in front of the house,
right,
the proposal is lawn there.
and the other part of the driveway?
The other part where you pointed out, starting where the trees are planted now to sort of block, but down by the fire pit,
Right,
that's all natives all the way out to
Oh.
where your car was parked. Okay, so all natives headed south towards the ocean.
What's the
Okay.
document that we can get a clear understanding? Is this a document here? Is there a planting plan or?
There's the natives listed there that are proposed. Now, one part of the plan, of course, is to remove this bamboo, and the bamboo is in many different places in the property. So it's in the wetlands,
yes,
and as Member McGivern tried to point out in his photos, it's kind of scattered about, but those invasives need to be removed and then replaced where appropriate with the natives that we've proposed here.
So all of the green dots on there will remove the bamboo and replace with natives also.
That's correct, but there's also bamboo in other places. So there's bamboo out here in the actual wetlands. There's bamboo out towards Surf Drive. This is kind of all overgrown with it's kind of a mess. It's just whatever is, there's vines in the trees, but there's bamboo out there as well.
All right.
So the bamboo is going to come off the property in several different locations.
It looks like a lot.
Yeah. So what are the hypothetical negatives? I suppose you could say clearing, but most of the clearing is actually for the low nitrogen septic system. That clearing, of course, will be replaced with American beach grass. And that's in an area where actually the technical analysis memo calls, quote, marginal beach vegetation at best. So we're actually kind of taking it towards something that's more appropriate. One condition in the technical analysis memo that we do disagree with, the memo suggested that there should be no additional lawn. And we're actually talking about a small amount of lawn being installed in place of that gravel portion of the driveway right in front of the house. So, and I, again, respectfully, I'd say that, the driveway is not within this board's jurisdiction because the driveway is already cleared. It's an existing structure. The homeowner can actually remove it as a right. So although we understand that, you don't want a whole lot more lawn, we're talking about a gravel area right in front of the house. It's a small amount of lawn, and in exchange for turning the whole rest of the driveway into natives, and of course, reducing the total coverage. We do have a graphic that Katie made that I think is helpful because it shows the pools in the neighborhood. So if you have a look at that, Tyler, do you remember as well, right? It's a.
It might be clear.
Use this version?
It was in the cover letter.
This one? Yeah, that's. We have it in front of the board as well. Can the board members see this? Okay. So essentially that's the immediate neighborhood around Surf Drive, and that shows the existing swimming pools. What you see on that are 27 swimming pools within the immediate. Katie did some checking, and actually each one of those property cards belonging to those properties that have pools, not one of those properties has a low nitrogen septic system. The 27 pools, no low nitrogen system. There are clients willing to put in the low nitrogen system along with approval on the pool.
The only thing I'd like to note is that.
We have to swear you in, Katie.
Sorry.
Yeah, you've written that's yourself and,
Katie Osiki from East End Land Planning.
okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So the only thing I'd like to note is that picture of all that bamboo is the wetlands. And I think, I don't know if you have the lot inspection, Tyler, but when they did the lot inspection, the actual wetlands, which are the, do you mind pulling up the landscape plan again? Sorry.
Sure.
Right here, it's covered in bamboo. I mean, it's all bamboo. So the bamboo is mostly in here, which they're planning on removing, and then all throughout this area. And then the septic, which is gonna go up here, is 40 feet from the road. So I know that clearing sometimes is a concern when it's close to the road. It's not. It's pretty bare too in terms of what is there already.
Okay, of all those pools that were mentioned that did not get IA systems, were they all from the days of IA systems availability? Or a lot of them?
I think
go
most
back
of
to
them
the
probably
past?
predate
Yeah.
the systems and I mean, although I think they're increasing in popularity now, a lot of people still just haven't built them. I know the installers are busy, but there are still a lot of people that have not put them in. So.
I mean, I'm pulled up the one grading plan from TF Engineering. So I just did a spot check and I just want to ask, just verify, it looks like you're not regrading the site. It's more of a grading plan for the retaining wall. The bottom of the wall is elevation 12, which matches the grade, it seems like. So just wanted to verify that you're not going to be regrading the site.
It's all within the,
Yeah.
with the project consensus to the town. That area on the site is significantly higher than the bottom of the pool and the grounders.
Right, as you travel north of the property,
Yeah, I think I tried to get that in one of the pictures.
Can you pull up the landscape
It's approved, that you're
drawing
still,
again, Tyler? Just expand it. I want to take a look at this, expand it up a little bit, the wetlands, the bottom of that survey a little bit. So I mean, we're supposed to, green lawn, I know this pre-existed NRSB apparently, or the TAM doesn't really address it, but I'm wondering if that area below that deck could be more natural vegetation.
Or on the other side of the pool.
Yeah, just to the side, there's a deck there. So where is the green lawn? You have the gray is the new green lawn, and then you have green lawn would be the white to the right of it too. Right?
This is all existing. So here's the existing vegetation right here, this line.
Right, and I'm wondering if that can be pulled tighter to that deck.
So that's already existing, and that is the only green area.
That's the
that she has.
only green area?
Only
Yeah.
green area. So basically, this is her lawn right here, and that's why she's asking for a little bit more. And it's right up to the house too, so it's not.
there's surprisingly little existing,
Okay.
what you'd call a lawn.
All right.
Yeah,
but it's still quite an amount.
I was on the site today, and one of the things that impressed me was where the pool is going to go, as well as where the septic is, going to be removal of quite a bit of mature vegetation. There's some canopy in there. Behind the house where the pool is, there's at least 3 oaks and a locust that are sizable, 30 feet or so. They're going to come down. And the same thing, there's some pitch pine over, I think, 5 or 6 of them that are right in the septic. Now, in the septic area, we're getting a positive, obviously, with an IA system. But I do wonder about the impact, not so much environmentally, because I think there's a net gain there, But whether or not there's an impact in terms of the influence on the neighborhood, the impact on the neighborhood, we're going to take down some of that coverage.
In our submissions are the neighbor that will be closest to the pool has written a letter of support, and it should be in your file. He would be just to the east.
To the east, the house in the east that's directly behind the garage.
Directly behind where the pool is, and he's written a letter of support saying he supports this proposal, both the IA system and the pool, and in his letter, he says, I understand they meet the setbacks and, supportive of it.
They are offering a little bit of screening there too, the eastern red cedar.
Some screening will be left between the two. And the area that's in front of the IA system closest to Jacqueline Drive, excuse me, is not Jacqueline.
Surf Drive.
Surf Drive, sorry. Sir, is that area will be left somewhat undisturbed?
Yeah, I mean, so it's pretty open where it is right now,
Yeah.
if you were there. But
Plan is to plant the American beach grass.
Right above it.
out
I
where
understand.
the-
I understand what the plan is. I'm just saying is that the impact on the neighborhood will be immediate and that this canopy will be removed. I understand the environmental positive on this, and we're all in favor of that, of course. But there is also the idea of how it might affect neighbors and the screening from the site. Because it's going to dramatically change some of the canopy here for the two projects, both the septic and the pool that's going behind. So
there'll still be a bit of canopy between where the septic is going and where the pool's going. So in terms of the neighbor that would be directly to
to the north,
the north, that the pool shouldn't affect them at all.
the pool might not affect them, but the septic will, right?
There's definitely going to be trees coming down, but I think that's unfortunately to get the septic that far away, that's what needed to happen. I mean, there is also the covenant. So part of the septic system to try to not clear so much was to put it in the driveway, and the client, is going to go through the process of getting the covenant. So there's going to be traffic bearing slabs.
Okay. And it is the plan to remove all of the bamboo on the property?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
whether or not the ones we just already highlighted, any bamboo will be removed
Yep.
as part of your?
It was hard because there are notes here that bamboo will be removed, and she does plan on using native species to plant back. But in terms of trying to figure out where it stops, where it ends.
It's all
very
intermingled.
overgrown. Bamboo is in amongst much of this wild city growth.
But ultimately, your proposal will increase the clearing too, even after all the revegetation, right? That's what it shows on the survey, right? That
Yes,
2,700
slightly. I
feet
mean,
more.
they are clearing for the pool. So even though the coverage number is coming down, that is because a lot of the driveway is getting removed. The clearing number is slightly more.
All right, there's a note in the TAM about the distribution trenches being over 100 feet from the actual OWTS system. You've already submitted an application to Suffolk
Only-
County. Has it been approved or?
The only thing they're waiting on is the approval from you guys in the NOI.
If I read it right, I saw the plan, I think there's a pump station in there in the middle, so it's engineered. Any other questions?
No, I think I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tyler?
Evening, Tyler Borsak for the Planning Department.
Tyler, do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So the application currently in front of the board is proposing to construct a 200 square foot swimming pool, pool decking, pool equipment, and to install an upgraded sanitary system, fencing, gates, and propane tanks. The only work being done within 100 feet of the wetlands on the property is the abandonment of the existing sanitary system and the installation of a drywall to alleviate runoff from entering the wetlands from an existing outdoor shower. The subject parcel has an interesting history with dune land vegetation. It was noted in 1989 lot inspection that there was dune land and fully established dune with bearberry and bayberry in the area where the swimming pool and sanitary system are proposed to be located. In 93, the property was issued a no NRSP required letter, stating that it was inspected and there was no beach vegetation present. In 2013, the wetland on the southern portion of the property was identified. And it appears that this is actually a naturally successional area within the Beach Hampton area, and that the homeowners didn't alter the landscape. It's just naturally been shifting towards more secondary duneland habitat, and obviously, pines are growing on the northern part of the lot. From the planning department's lot inspection last year, there are still a few remaining bayberries in the area. However, the overall vegetation would not be described as beach vegetation. It's pretty sparse beach vegetation. A lot of it's sort of around the retaining wall just next to the driveway on the north side. With that said, it appears that the existing lawn that is on the property was established prior to the establishment of NRSP jurisdiction. Most natural resource special permits issued to parcels in the Beach Hampton area place a condition on the property that the establishment of turf, lawns, sod, and ornamental vegetation are prohibited. Since the parcel has had lawns since prior to NRSP jurisdiction and is within the town's allowable clearing limits for the parcel of this size, the planning department does not recommend that the existing lawn be removed. However, the establishment of any new lawn or ornamental vegetation should be prohibited. The applicants are currently proposing to remove a southern portion of the driveway and replace it with lawn, although there, some of that is to be revegetated as well. The planning department recommends that the most of that area, if not all of it, be revegetated and that no additional lawn be established on the property. Revegetating the removed driveway will help to restore some of the native dune land habitat and also provide an essential buffer between the residential improvements, the road right-of-way, and the wetlands, helping to reduce runoff and provide long-term protection to the wetlands. The applicant is proposing to remove existing bamboo within delineated wetlands and a few other areas, as well as then revegetate with bayberry and swamp azaleas. The planning department considers this to be a benefit and would suggest that the applicant place the swamp azaleas within the wetland boundaries and bayberry more upland or farther from the wetlands. The existing residence and decking are only located 25 feet from wetlands. Excuse me. A buffer between the wetlands and the existing residence would be beneficial to protecting the wetlands on this property. However, there is not much room for the installation of a vegetative buffer between the wetlands and decking. Prior to a building permit for the project, the planning department suggests that the applicant submit a more detailed re-veg plan, which details the methods and for the bamboo removal itself. This is suggested to ensure that every precaution is taken to conserve the quality of the wetlands and to not cause any unnecessary disturbance to the wetlands while that work is going on. While it will be ultimately a net benefit, I think, at the end of the day. The distribution trenches for the proposed sanitary system are located in the most northern portion of the property. This is the most conforming location regarding setbacks from wetlands. However, it is an uncommon design since the distribution trenches appear to be over 100 feet from the IA treatment tank itself. Trenches are proposed to be in an uncleared area of the parcel and will require clearing to install. The applicant is proposing to revegetate then afterwards with beach grass, switchgrass over the trenches when construction is complete. You can't really revegetate with much else other than that with those shallow systems. The root systems of anything significant would interfere with that. As was noted earlier, there was some beach vegetation on the property. It is limited to a few berries along the existing retaining wall. However, the area where the sanitary system is proposed contains marginal beach vegetation at best. This sanitary system can be seen as mitigation for the project since it would not be required under the town code. However, there's not really a nexus between the construction of a swimming pool and the sanitary system. The applicant is proposing to abandon the existing sanitary, which is located roughly 15 feet from wetlands, and construct a new IA system outside of NRSP jurisdiction entirely, over 200 feet to the north. Other than that, I think I can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Tyler?
What kind of concern do you have about the removal? I know you mentioned it, but what do we think the removal of the bamboo in the wetlands is going to entail? Do we have a known technique that we can do that without making?
I'm not entirely certain myself. I don't know if they require significant digging to do that, which may be, a bit more obviously intrusive. But certainly knowing what the plan is prior to the work being done.
I think I think we'll be asked when the applicant comes back up. There should be a protocol, I believe, so that information is passed down correctly.
I mean, similar to how the board handles
Yeah.
Phragmites removal.
Phragmites, yeah.
So we, you know, so we know what's going on
Yeah.
when they're doing the work.
My point, my only point would be that you become fully informed of what that's going to be before
Right,
approving. it.
Right. So if it goes out of that scope, we also know and can, take action if we have to. Hopefully not.
Think any questions? Thank
Just
you.
The safe
Matt,
concern.
is there anybody in the public or anybody in the public here to speak on this? Matt, anybody online?
0 callers, thank you.
Okay, thank you. If you can come up, Dave and Katie. I think one of the concerns we do have is the removal of the bamboo. And I think it doesn't have to be, we don't have to leave the record open, we can close the record, but if it's conditional on the building permit signed off by the planning department, that'd be satisfactory.
Like a cover letter and construction protocol. of how-
Okay,
And the re-veg will still leave it as a wetland.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any closing remarks, by the way? No? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Joe.
Yeah. You need this? Yeah.
We'll have to move the whole thing.
You just read this.
Didn't you say no
Then the
calls?
case of her, blah, blah, blah. Make a motion.
Closing record.
You said no calls.
I just have to read that.
Read that.
Okay. In the case of Sylvia Wong at 25 Surf Drive, East Hampton, section of Amagansett, Suffolk County tax member, map number 300-174-03-4.1. I make a motion to close the record
In the public hearing.
and the public hearing.
I'll second it.
I concur.
Concur. I concur as well. Thank you. Our next application, thank you, guys. Our next application is Henry L. Drucker at 298 Further Lane in East Hampton, Suffolk tax map number 300-189-6-11.5. The applicant is Henry L. Drucker. Size and location is 84,289 square feet at 298 Further Lane, East Hampton. The description is to construct a 60 by 120 foot sunken tennis court with a 235 square foot pergola, platform, storage bunker, walkways, planter box, and to relocate the existing pool equipment. The relief sought is one variance of 59.2 feet from 255-1188 and 255-1110 of the town code is required to construct the play court 68.8 feet from the eastern front yard lot line where 120-foot setback is required, any other relief necessary. The zoning district is A2 residence, Zone X flood zone, and the secret class is type 2. Council, do we have proper affidavit of service and posting?
We do pursuant to section 255-9-23 of the Town of East Hampton Code. We have service on September 12th, 2022 and September 13th, 2022, at least 10 days prior to the date of the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. This is in my jurisdiction, so I did the report. I have photos, but I did not take photos of the posting, so I talked to Lenny, and I'm going to ask Lenny if the property was posted, and he said he did it
Right,
personally.
I affirm that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
There's also photos attached to the affidavit of service.
So at the first photo, we're looking down Tyson Lane. This is the property in question is to the right of this photo or to the west. This is looking down further lane. This is looking west down further lane. And this is looking into the private driveway or the common driveway going into the property. This, we're walking, I came in through the rear of the property. There's a little service gate there. I came in and you're looking, the tennis court will be beyond the residence to the right in that lawn area. You'll see closer pictures of it. And here you're looking at where essentially where the tennis court is proposed to be, just beyond that. And this is the area we're talking about. Looking now north, north towards the driveway. This is the area, I was scanning to the south. This is the area where the tennis court is placed in this green lawn. And then to the east southeast there. That you can see the screening is pretty well screened out on the eastern property line. And again, just scanning a little bit more over. That's it. Thank you. Lenny?
Thank you very much. My name is Lenny Ackerman. I'm appearing here on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Drucker. I want to be sure that you have the letters from the neighbors in the file. Letters from the neighbors in the file supporting the application. Also, our letter of June 8th, in which, in response to the planner's excellent memo, we reduced the amount of side yard. I want to be sure you have all that. You know, you have a long calendar. It's not necessary for me to repeat everything that's in the record. Mr. Johnson, is it Johnson? I'm sorry, I can't read that. Mr. Johan. My thunder, because this is all about impact.
Okay.
You know, do you want it 60? Do you want it 80? Or do you want it conforming, 120 feet, which we can do, but we're going to need to remove the pool. And the question of impact is on the neighbor to the south. The further west we go, the more impact there is. So I asked you to focus on impact because I think that's what this case is all about. This is a location case. Fortunately, there's no environmental issues. I think our original application was the best one in terms of location and impact. I think pushing us to remove a pool, relocate a pool as of right, which we could do, the client's prepared to do that. I don't think it's necessary in this case. That's it.
What's the date of the latest?
Where are we now?
survey?
Yeah, where are we now with relative to the
Well,
setbacks?
the original application was 60.
Right?
This shows 80, and this shows you the envelope, if you want to push it to one location.
At the 80 location, what's the impact? You're saying you have to relocate a pool or? No,
This
the
neighbor,
pool is by right?
this neighbor right here, the closer, at 60 feet, we're further away. The only impact I see is noise. It's, as you can see, it's very, very well screened. I think that, the closer you keep pushing up, the closer it impacts this guy.
What is the location of the eastern part of the tennis court to the eastern side of Tyson Lane? What is the distance?
This distance is
The eastern part of the tennis court.
the Tyson.
Yeah, what is that distance over Tyson Lane to the opposite side of Tyson Lane, which would be the most affected neighbor? Nope, the other side, to the east.
It says
To the right, Lenny.
It says vacant
Across.
on the
Yeah.
survey.
Yeah.
This is Linda Margot and that colleague.
This lot right here
Yeah, so that,
is just a,
Vacant lot.
it's not only vacant, but we think it's restricted to agricultural uses, and the neighbor supported the application. And this lot is developed with the house. This lot is vacant, and of course, across the street is an ag preserve. So the neighbor that's most likely to be impacted is the neighbor to the
but that's
south.
not from the variance. The variance would be
Well, it works in a way that you might not, okay? In order to, when we lessen the variance,
you should announce yourself.
I'm sorry, my name is Linda Margolin, I'm an
Thank
attorney.
you.
When you decrease the amount of the variance, okay, in response to the technical analysis memo, what you're doing is you're shoving the tennis court this way.
Mhm.
And when you shove the tennis court this way, you're actually impacting the neighbor down here more because their house is just about right here. So when you do that, you're moving the tennis court closer to them. If the tennis court stays at the original request of a 60-foot variance, 59.2 feet, then the tennis court is actually moving further away from the neighbor. And while it moves closer to the property across the street on Tyson Lane, that's not an occupied lot, and it will never be. So
It will never be because it's Conic Trust or?
I believe it's,
I can't hear you.
Tyson developed property.
You have to turn your mic, just so we can pick up your voices.
hearing aid, so I can't hear too. When Tyson developed this property in the 70s, they put conservation easements on those properties that fronted on Further Lane. And this property is one of those properties. Runs all along. That's why you don't see any houses in the Tyson development on Further Lane.
So what are we looking at on that property to the east across Tyson Lane right now? You're saying it's not going to be developed, but what are we looking at that's on that property?
Gardens and native vegetation both.
But it's
I
ag reserve.
looked at it today.
It's ag reserve?
It's ag reserve.
Okay.
Or a similar kind of restriction that was placed on in the 70s.
We don't know the distance from, the original application was 60 feet, right?
And that's what it was advertised.
And then what's the remaining distance to the ag reserve property line over Tyson Lane?
Across Tyson Lane?
Yeah, what would be the distance? 60 feet plus what
Would be
equals?
60 feet plus, I'm looking to say, it looks like about another 50 feet. Tyson Lane isn't paved that wide, but that's what it looks like from property line to property line.
So you would still not meet the 120 to the property line. We should verify that,
You'd be
Tyler.
close.
We should try to verify that.
But the code, the code says, 12 feet setback from the street.
It's a private
Correct.
road. It's not a.
I get that.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a public road. It's a private. Tyson Lane is a private street.
Okay.
Okay, what's the date on that, right, that you have up there on the display? The date on that survey? Sorry.
So it says,
It's not clear how wide Tyson is.
Oh, okay. The rest of you have that? May 22nd,
May 27,
2022?
2022.
Okay, because I knew this didn't match the two I have. Okay. See.
I mean, Roy, if you wish, I can go through the ground. I don't think it's necessary to go through.
So
all the
that one
ground.
reflects the 39.5 that you're now requesting. This,
Sorry, I can't hear.
Are you? I'm having a hard time hearing. He said so.
Sorry. What was the
you
question?
said the variance now that you're requesting is 39.5 feet.
Property owner, I'm sorry. We indicated that the property owner would be satisfied with that, but when we were reviewing the impacts on the neighbors, we think the original application,
Would have less.
which is what it was
Are
advertised
you asking
for,
us to
actually
decide?
works better for the neighbor.
So what is
So
before us
That would be
tonight?
59.2, not 39.
So you're
But-
still
but they
asking for
advertise.
59.2.
Yes,
Yeah. So that's what's before us tonight.
yes.
It's 59.2. Okay.
Does it say it on that? I don't have that copy.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
Larry?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we see if there's anyone on?
Yeah, well, I got Tyler first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How come I don't have that?
So,
Tyler Borsak again for the Planning Department. I can certainly sit down and go through all the surveys if you want to see all the comparisons. But I'll go through just a little bit of history on it. So the parcel is located on the corner of Further Lane and Tyson Lane in East Hampton. The applicant is before the board for approval to construct a 60 by 120 foot sunken tennis court with front yard lot line setbacks. Since the assessment was written, they submitted some additional surveys, which could reduce the setback or relocate it to 80.6 feet from that eastern front yard lot line, which would be a variance of 39.4 feet. Whereas originally it was 60.8 feet, which would have required the larger 59.2 foot variance. The applicant is also proposing to construct a storage bunker along the west side of the tennis court, along with a raised viewing platform supporting a pergola, walkways leading to the court, and other structures, all of which are conforming in their required setbacks. As the property is located within the agricultural overlay district, town code requires and the board should include in the determination that all soils remain on site. Additionally, the project will require an architectural review board approval as a product of proposed structures being built below grade and fencing in excess of 6 feet are proposed. The ARB has submitted a memo to the ZBA detailing that they are currently no objections to the project, but are waiting for the ZBA approval prior to them moving forward with their determination. Variance says applications for tennis courts are not terribly common. Since 2012, the board has had 7 variance requests for tennis courts. Those applications and the relevant details are included in the assessment, so I won't go into them at length. But the board should be sure to review those past approvals and denials to get a better understanding of what's been granted and what hasn't been.
Could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did any of those approvals or denials involve a private lane with?
Yes, I believe so.
I know one had a flag strip to the north side of it.
With an ag reserve property that would never be developed afterwards?
It was the last one we did in Wainscott.
Same Wainscott.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right, yes. Wainscott Hollow? 15 Wainscott Hollow, I think that one was.
Yeah.
It's listed in the assessment, so we could get you the determination, certainly. It's, it's in the record at this point. If you want to take a look at that one specifically. Even with the relocation of the proposed tennis court, and the proposed variance would be the largest that the ZBA has had an application on in a long time, possibly ever. The applicants need to show how they meet the variance standards, but ultimately the parcel may not be appropriate for a tennis court variance, given its 2 front yard lot lines, only being 2 acres in size, and the location of the existing improvements being within what's the conforming envelope. Additionally, the applicant could explore the idea of reducing the size of the court slightly. A standard court is 60 by 120, but the board has had applications where they've reduced it down slightly to try and meet a better setback.
What would that be?
They do like 54 by 116 or something like that. That's just off the top of my head. I don't remember for certain, but I know that some of that extra space is, outside of the actual, boundary lines of the court itself. But 60 by 120 is the standard size. And the road right of way to the east is 50 feet wide. Is that the question that you had?
50
The
feet.
road right of way, the Tyson Lane right of way is 50 feet wide. So I could pull up any of the surveys if you wanted to see
50,
those,
50.
or look at the aerial again. I don't know if you wanted to look at any of that information. But yeah, that's all I have. I can answer any questions you might have.
Very questions.
No, but since you've entered it and we had the question, so we have the proposed setback or the proposed ask now is for the 60-foot variance. And you're saying that we have 50 feet is the exact width of the Tyson road.
The road right of way, yeah.
Okay. We can do our own math on that.
80.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
No.
No? Just a second, we'll get the public in first.
I do have some information to share with the board, which is most of the variance applications that you've granted with respect to tennis courts. I looked at them on Google Earth in order to see whether the tennis courts were sunken or not, because we're proposing to sink this tennis court. And as far as I was able to tell, only one of the applications involved a sunken tennis court, and the rest haven't been. And I think would like the board to understand that sinking the tennis court makes it substantially less obtrusive, both from the standpoint of visibility and also from the standpoint of any noise. Sinking the tennis court provides significant buffering from noise and means that to the extent anything will be visible, it's only.
Right, so yeah, it just means
it's only a
there's
few
no
feet
provision in the
above
code
ground
for
as
that.
opposed
though,
to,
right? Yeah.
the 6 feet for the fence. I will say that with respect to 15 Wainscott Hollow Road, that was definitely not a sunken court. I did look. And we don't think reducing the size of the tennis court by a few feet, which would reduce it from regulation size, will make any difference in terms of the impact on any of the neighboring properties or the neighborhood itself. So, the last thing I wanted to address the board about was the condition suggested that no soil should be removed from the property. The agricultural overlay district says no soil should be removed unless it's part of a construction project for which all approvals are granted. this would be that kind of project. But I'm asking the board to consider allowing us to move the soil to another property in the agricultural overlay district. Because of the policy, my understanding is that the policy of the town is to preserve Class 1 and Class 2 agricultural soils so that they can be used for agriculture. And it's pretty clear that they're never going to be used for agriculture on this parcel. If the soils have to be retained here, the property owner will probably have to wind up creating a berm in some location because excavating for a sunken tennis court will create significant soils. I actually have ventured a suggestion to the town that they ought to be creating a stockpile of agricultural soils rather than requiring properties that are developed for purely residential use to continue to retain these soils, because I understand it's a valuable resource, but it's not really getting used by requiring the owner to keep it on site. So that's the only request.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the public here that want to speak on this? Matt, anybody on the phone?
You have 0 callers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any closing remarks? That was a good closing remark. Thank you. Thank you. Make a motion to close. Before I make a motion to close the public hearing in the public record for Henry L. Drucker at 298 Further Lane, East Hampton, and Suffolk tax map number 300-189-6-11.5.
I'll second it.
Concur. I concur.
Concur.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Date on that again. I have to get a copy of that.
Hi, Water. Nice to meet you.
27.
Thank you. I think I'm gonna need it.
Let me see if
So
I
I
have
heard.
one.
No,
Our next public hearing is Sean and Patricia Bratches at 138 Marine Boulevard in Amagansett. Suffolk tax map number 300-176-5-24. The applicant is Sean and Patricia Bratches, and the size and location is 10,205 square feet at 138 Marine Boulevard, Beach Hampton, Section 1, map number 1203 in Amagansett. Size and location, I did that. The description is to construct a 270 square foot swimming pool with pool equipment and a 359 square foot patio extension on a parcel of land containing beach vegetation. The relief sought is a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255-420 and any other relief necessary from East Hampton Town Code. The zoning district is B residence, Zone X flood zone, and the secret class is Site 2. Council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
yes, pursuant to Town of East Hampton Code, Section 255-9-23. We have service on September 16th for both postings. This is 10 days prior to the date of the application of the public hearing.
Thank you. John, I think you're a busy person tonight.
Okay, this is a picture of, I don't know. I think, oh, I know, I'm looking down Wyandanch. This property has 2 front yards. It fronts on Wyandanch and Marine. Next. Oh, no, you've got the wrong. Yeah, sorry. It's like, it didn't look familiar. Okay,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right.
this is Wyandanch, and it was posted in 2 places on Wyandanch. Next. To the, if you got Marine and Wyandanch, directly opposite that corner is the dune area. So I was trying to take a picture of the dune area.
Just opposite the intersection.
This area.
Northeast.
Dune, it's
Northeast.
northeast.
Yeah.
Next. The house is very well shaded by a lot of mature growth, vines and whatnot. So it's hard to take a picture of the house is my point. Next, this is Marine Boulevard. They have parking on Marine and on Wyandanch. This is the front left corner of the house. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's the Wyandanch parking. That's the side of the house. Next. It's a miss. Anyway, next. This is the side of back of the house. Oh, that was just the balcony railing going up to the side of the house. They want to put the pool opposite the side back of the house. You're looking at the back of the house. That's the back of the house. This is standing on the opposite side of the back of the house, closest to, let's see, this southwest corner. And you can see a little bit of the dune in that corner. There's more of the dune. That's looking at the back of the house on the, if you're facing the house, it's to the right side. Next. There's a shower. That's the middle of the back of the house, and there's an outdoor shower there. This is now the back of the house on the right side going down the stairs. Next. That's the right side of the house looking at the back. That's the deck, the existing deck area, and you can see the dune in the distance. Those are the stairs coming down the other side of the house on the Marine Boulevard side. And those are the stairs on the other side of the driveway on the Marine Boulevard side. And that's the front, that's the best shot I could get of the house because it's so densely vegetated from the front. Next. I think that was the vegetation. Next. And it's posted on the Marine Boulevard side as well. I think that's it. That's just looking down. Oh, that's from Marine Boulevard. That's looking down Marine Boulevard, and the white post you see there is Wyandanch. Wyandanch. That's another shot of the house from the corner of Wyandanch and Marine. I was trying to get a picture of the house, but there's a little front lawn in the front of the house, but it's kind of hard to capture. I sort of climbed halfway up the hill, but I didn't get a very good shot. And that's looking down Marine Boulevard the other way. I think that's it. Oh, better shot looking down Marine Boulevard the other way. And that car in the middle is where the next to the white sign is the Marine Boulevard where the property starts. I think that's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Joan?
No.
No. Written.
It's a good thing I didn't set out to be a professional photographer.
Good evening, Chairman Deline,
Evening.
members of the board. Britton Bistrian.
Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Here this evening representing Patty and Sean Bratches at 138 Marine Boulevard. As was given in the field report, it's on the north side of Marine Boulevard and the western corner of Wyandanch Lane. We're here this evening requesting a natural resources special permit, no variances, for a 192 square foot swimming pool on a parcel of land containing beach vegetation. think the history here is a little bit important. The residence itself was constructed in 1960. It was a one-story, sort of typical Beach Hampton style house. And every decade since 1960, there's been a building permit pulled on this property for a series of decks, patios, leading up to 2012, where there was a massive redevelopment of the property. The existing one-story house was lifted up, gutted. The entire foundation was removed. A new foundation was poured. The shambles of the one-story house was put back down, and then they put a second floor on it. So what I think is really important to note is that at none of those times since 1960, this is the first time this property's ever been in front of the zoning board. It's never been deemed to need an NRSP for any building permits over the last 60 years. So came as a little bit of a surprise when we filed for a building permit and was told that we needed an NRSP. Still a little unclear on that. But there was something that I wanted to, first of all, the TAM was written. The pool was much larger. It was almost 300 square feet. And there also, the original project included a 350 square foot patio extension. In response to the memo that we received from Tyler, we eliminated the patio, tucked the pool closer to the house, all within the lawn area, and reduced it to 192 square feet. So that's the only structure being proposed currently.
Britton, what's the latest survey?
I think it's August 2nd.
Question.
Yeah.
August 2nd, 2022. Would you like a copy?
Excuse me?
Do you have a copy?
No, it looks like I don't have a copy of that
Do you have
one
a
either.
copy of this?
I
have
have
one
one from
attached.
2021. Oh, okay.
It's
I don't
attached to
remember. Yes.
Do you have it
give me a
now?
Copy.
We have November 17, 2021.
Yeah.
No, but a packet was just submitted to us.
Today.
I
When
think today. It might be
Oh,
in your
okay.
email. I think the date is August 2nd, 2022, correct, Britton?
Correct.
And now you gave Joan my copy, Britton?
I just had to give them
You just
to
said they're gonna
Laura,
come to
and
you in a
she's
second.
going to distribute
Okay.
them.
They'll be coming here.
Okay.
Don't get jealous.
Sorry, I lost track.
You were telling us. about the
Interestingly
reduction.
enough, there was in the TAM, the one thing that I did want to sort of correct was there was a notation that said that there was no lawn on the house in aerials in 2013, which is prior to the major, or maybe it was 2011, prior to the major redevelopment. Strangely enough, my husband lived in this house, and I have a picture of the backyard, which I'd like to enter into the record, showing the lawn in the aerial as a one-story house in 2000 and
So when was it modified? When was it redone?
She said 212.
212?
I have the property. Let me just cite the property card because I don't
Husband
want
did
to.
that one?
Oh, that's 2014 was the C of O. So
Yep. So the permit was issued for the reconstruction on August of 2012,
and that didn't require an NRSP?
or none of the 50 years of permits prior to that. Obviously, 1984 is huge, but 92, 2004, 2005, 2011, 2012, until
Obviously, there's a substantial dune on that, pretty substantial.
When's that photo from?
That's 2013.
That's 13.
that looks like it's under construction.
Yeah, that's when the construction.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we're here today, so let's just,
So in any event, I did want to point out that lawn area, the revisions to the project in response to the TAM, tucking the pool back, putting it completely in the lawn area, not going at all into that sort of northwest corner. It was suggested that we could impose a scenic easement to protect the areas that are not lawn dune area, and my client is willing to do that. I think that all in all, we were responsive to the comments that Tyler provided, the mitigation of a native revegetation plan, which you should all have now as well.
Do you have a location in mind?
This out of the way.
Do you have a location that the applicant's looking to offer as the scenic easement, a certain amount? Or-
Tyler suggested the northwest corner. Is that in your TAM? Whichever areas Tyler deems to be
As
worthy
large
of
as he
the scenic
wants?
easement. I would imagine it's going to be within north of this. This is the existing clearing line, sort of that gray. So I would, anywhere in that area.
Can I ask you, in the pictures, there was like not a picket fence, a fence running along the dune. Is that a property line between the two properties?
Which north, this orient, north,
Northwest
southwest,
corner, I had a picture and there was a fence.
this northwest corner is the neighbor's fence. Is that what you're speaking of? It's the neighbor to the west.
Northeast.
I
Yeah,
don't think there's a fence in northeast.
in one of my pictures, there was a fence.
Maybe we could pull that up and I could identify it better by. I'm not aware of our client having any fencing
Well,
in north of the house.
There's no fence
wait,
indicated
wait,
on the survey.
go back.
Oh, wait, there's a retaining wall and a fence on the
No, there, is it?
western side, western property.
No.
The western property line, there is a fence that wraps up. That's the neighbor to the west
That's-
property fence.
Got it, okay.
It's not on our property. The only other thing I want to note is that there should be 2 letters of support in the file, one from the one from the neighbor to the east. Hopefully those made the file. That looks good.
And you said the pool is now 192 square feet,
Correct. 12 by 16.
12 by 16.
And the pool's been pulled back from the previous, survey so that it's been pulled closer to the house and
In within the existing lawn area, correct.
before it was beyond the patio, now it's inside the
Mhm.
patio line.
And there was a patio, 349 square foot patio addition that was proposed as well, which was eliminated.
There's a patio.
It's inside.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right.
It also said that you should have a
Sorry, I'm really hard
pool
to-
fence on the, included in the survey.
I don't, but we can just immediately fence the pool. We can fence on the coping. The intent is not to have a property fence.
Okay.
Any questions?
I'm good.
Thank you. Tyler?
Evening again, Tyler Borsak for the planning department. Just one thing of note, I didn't write the assessment, Eleni did, I'm just the one that inherited it. But it's a planning department's assessment either way. So the application currently in front of the board proposes to construct a 192 square foot swimming pool with pool equipment, fencing and dry well. The property is not within jurisdiction of wetlands, however, it does contain beach vegetation on a portion of the property with dune land topography. The parcel is situated within the Beach Hampton subdivision. Beach Hampton area is composed of numerous non-conforming lots. This area was once characterized by rolling dunes and beach vegetation, which have slowly been disappearing over the past 100 years. Dune heath vegetation requires precise soil conditions and frequently the presence of nitrogen-fixing mycorrhizal root fungi in order to thrive. Reestablishing this type of habitat is extremely difficult and subject to high floral mortality rates. These plant communities have become less common throughout Long Island and the entire mid-Atlantic region. The most effective measure of conservation on privately owned parcels in these areas is to limit the quantity of long and short-term land clearing to the smallest area practical. Since the original assessment was written, the proposed swimming pool has been reduced in size and relocated closer to the residents. The area around the proposed swimming pool contains high-quality beach vegetation, some of which will be disturbed during construction. In writing the assessment, the planning department recommended the applicant utilize the area of the existing patio more efficiently to both reduce clearing, but also to move the swimming pool further from dune land topography at the north side of the property. The board should discuss if the project meets the NRSP standards with the relocation of the pool to an existing cleared area and further from dune land on the parcel. Ultimately, the original thoughts on the assessment remain. The clearing of undisturbed areas for the construction of the swimming pool should be avoided, and disturbance of the remaining dune land should be limited. The applicant has submitted an upgraded re-veg plan, last revised May 2nd, 2022, which shows a revegetation area for the rear yard. This plan should be updated to include a more comprehensive list of native plantings that are appropriate for the area. In its current form, the plans do not specify which plants, their spacing or their sizing, but that's something that could happen after an approval if it was approved. Generally, the board has approved plans in the past, which give specific plant listings to be certain that what is planted is appropriate for the area. In the 2013 aerial of the subject property, which I showed earlier, shows the parcel to contain no lawn on the north side of the residence. The current conditions on the property contain a lawn on the north side of the residence, and the planning department recommends that the remainder of this lawn be removed and revegetated once construction is complete. The board should discuss any additional mitigation is warranted in the application. The planning department recommended a scenic easement, and it seems that that the applicant is okay with that, which would be a way to protect that vegetation and dune land topography in perpetuity, to prevent structures and additional clearing on the north side of that lot. Other than that, I can answer any questions you might have.
In order to construct this pool, I imagine it's going to have to be accessed through Wyandanch Lane. And when we look at this planting plan and the area to be preserved, a good deal of it, you mentioned there'll be some disturbance, but it's going to mean coming through, at least this drawing we have here, which is a little more extensive than the one that's up there.
I can pull that up.
There'll be some additionals. You know, I'm only making the comment that the protocol that's established by the planning department should take that into consideration, because I think limiting whatever disturbance we can to the north is obviously in all our interest here.
Sure.
Because just gaining access alone is going to disturb a chunk of that.
Absolutely.
I just don't see any other way to get at it except from directly up the Wyandanch there, and I think that'll be part of the problem. My only comment.
The project limiting fence, you'll have a recommendation for.
Yeah, I'm
concern
not
is that-
certain if Eleni included one in the, usually we include one, but it would just be, around where the clearing needs to happen. Yeah. So we'll try and limit it as much as we can.
Yeah.
And they need some room around it to dig out for the pool itself, but.
And the project has changed since Eleni first assessed the conditions here.
Yeah, it's been moved slightly further south in line with that existing patio, and the patio addition got removed from the project.
On the slide you had before this, I think it was the latest survey, but you had a whole green area. Is that the recommended
Yeah,
scenic easement?
I literally just drew that. I mean,
Okay.
that makes the most, it's an approximation. I think it makes sense of where you could put a scenic easement on the property to try and protect that existing habitat that's there.
Okay, so this will be in the file too. We added that on.
Certainly I can, yeah, certainly we can include it, yeah.
Any questions? No. Thank you, Todd.
I think that's it.
Anybody in the public wish to?
I'm Elizabeth Thompson, the neighbor on the north.
Okay, can you raise your right hand? You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
I understand you will have read my letter requesting that this application be denied, and I want to thank you for your time with that. One correction: after I submitted my letter with the help of Ms. McPherson, I further researched the mentioned 1990s adjacent property pool proposal that I had thought had been denied. In fact, it was not denied, but the applicant withdrew the request at the ZBA meeting, thanks to the appeal by the property's neighbors. Here's what I want to say tonight. I've been an Amagansett Beach kid my entire life, every summer, just like my mother who was born here and many of my relatives. So I've certainly witnessed all the relentless development in Amagansett and the beaches. But for the last 30 years, at least, I've been privileged to be a guardian of this one small piece of the fragile Amagansett beach environment. This is a back dune with a scenic easement. The scenic easement is on my property. The planner's technical analysis memorandum regarding this application describes its fragility. To take care of my part of this dune, the one on which the construction is proposed, I've stayed firm with my kids, my grandkids, my guests, people's pets, tenants, and I have signs that say, "Protected dune, please keep off." The dune has survived and even flourished, and I would urge you to come and visit it. But this proposal now to carve out a big chunk of the forward flank of this dune feels like a plan for a permanent infectious wound. For a pool and a bigger patio and some naturalistic landscaping, how could this not cause the dune harm? For me, it just hurts to think about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else here from the public? Matt, anybody on the phone?
You have one caller. Are you ready?
Sure.
Unmuting last four digits. 4221.
Hello, caller. Are you here for this?
Yes, I am. That was quite the wind-up. Thank you. It's Jane Meering at 32 Ocean Lane.
Hi, Jane. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Before you start the timer, I just want to say my comments tonight are prepared based on what I saw in the public file. Ms. Bistrian, I think, said that other things have been submitted, but I'm just going to go with my comments, so thank you. Good evening, Chairman Deline and members of the board. My name is Jane Meering. I reside at 32 Ocean Lane, a few blocks from 138 Marine Boulevard. As you're aware, I've commented on several other applications before this board and my Beach Hampton community. In each case, my comments focused on protection of and compatibility of the project with natural resources and essential community character. My motivation here tonight is the same. I'm here mostly to speak about the dune structure and dunescape on this parcel and its essential and existential importance to the irreplaceable character of the community. The dune in question is pretty special and significant in this area. Let me start out with a bit of the obvious. We live here in an area called the Dunes, and it's named that for a particular reason. Unfortunately, over the decades, a lot of the dunes and dunelands have been compromised, excavated, smooshed, sodded, and ornamentalized. What's done is done, but we know better now, and I do hope stewardship and our code will compel us to preserve and restore. Moving on to the specifics of this application, my concerns are the following. Number one, I cannot see how the actual construction process, as well as the placement, existence, and maintenance of the new pool and fire pit, I don't know if the fire pit's still in or out, additional patio will not diminish, degrade, and put in peril the key natural feature of this property, the dune structure and the dune vegetation. Number two, the execution of the proposed landscape plan that I saw in the file would appear to unduly interfere with and destroy the areas of beach vegetation. If I understood it correctly, and I'm not sure about this new scenic easement that's been offered, but the plan would have cleared to the north property line and to the east property line on Wyandanch before revegetating. Promise of new native vegetation sounds nice, but it will never be comparable to the natural ecosystem that exists on the dune. Number three, I imagine newly expanded landscaping will be irrigated, and that could be destructive to the dune and dune structure. Number four, this application will result in further loss, I believe, of critical community character defining viewshed. Number five, a pool is a want, not a need, and therefore it's not clear to me that its permitting will rise to standards on this property. Alternative designs of lower impact are available. So I just want to conclude with one context point. This undersized and natural resource heavy lot has been developed aggressively already by the applicants in the 2013 rebuild. Great deal of density and intensity was added. It's imposing. As I understand it, the proposed coverage, total lot coverage, and I think if I calculated correctly, the GFA of first and second stories are all within 5% of allowable maximums. So I raised the code standard. Is this lot area sufficient, appropriate, and adequate for this additional use and development? And lastly, I understand the TAM, from the TAM you talked tonight, this was never come before the ZBA before. I have a hard time understanding how it was not in your jurisdiction. Just because it didn't come before doesn't mean it shouldn't have, and I don't know how to figure that in, but it does jump out at me as important context. That's all for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, Matt?
0 additional callers. Thank you.
John, want to make a motion?
In the case of applicant Sean and Patricia Bratches.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, Britton.
I had a chance to rebut a couple things. I don't know where to start. I want to note that the scenic easement that was imposed on the property to the north, 84 Wyandanch Lane, that was imposed in 1990 as part of a construction project, just similar to this one. We have offered a similar mitigation of a scenic easement imposed on our property, which wouldn't have been done unless it was under zoning board review, this is the first time it will be. So we have offered that mitigation. I believe Ms. Meering was looking at the wrong plans. And so there was never a fire pit. There's no patio. I do sense her concerns, but there is no new clearing. We're not clearing to the northern property line. The re-veg plan is just that. It's imposing additional vegetation. It's not removing or clearing anything else. I think that may have just been a confusion. We did speak about the construction. We'd be happy to have a very specific construction limiting project fence, silt fencing, and we can even discuss how, I don't know if this is really a protocol because this is not a huge undertaking, but maybe something like a methodology from a contractor that could address some of the concerns.
I think the limiting fence here is going to be the key part. I almost think it should be tucked in tight on the north side of where that proposed pool is so that they're not bringing a lot of machinery because that's where the structure starts. So,
I mean, if we stake the existing clearing line and come 5 foot inboard of that, that would be south of the proposed scenic easement. And it's just going to be that corner by Wyandanch, but that's all cleared.
Right.
I think we can work something out, and I'd be happy to work out, Tyler, if you want to make that a condition to have.
Yeah, the assessment states concurrent with the clearing boundary. I don't know if that's
Which is the gray dotted hash line.
the proposed limit here.
No, it's kind of more where your green shading
This
is.
one here.
Limits of clearing.
It's red.
yeah, so I mean,
And I think one more thing, I was sitting here trying to figure out why it looked like dune in 2013. That's when it was under construction. So there was lawn prior to the construction. All the lawn was taken out during construction and it was put back. So that's the explanation of why he said there was no lawn north of it. There wasn't lawn north of that when it was under construction in 2013. But other than that, there has been lawn north of the house.
okay. Any other comment?
I have nothing further. I just want to make sure that all 3 letters of support were received in the file.
I believe so.
Yes.
Well, I've seen there's letters of support. We can maybe.
There were letters emailed, right? Weren't they emailed?
Okay, just wanted to
And
double check
put
that they were in the
file,
record.
I believe so. Yes.
I'm sorry, 2 copies of which? No, I just brought them for the board members. That's what I noted today. So if you need more, just let me know. I'll bring them into the file.
So you want one?
Yeah, you
definitely need
one.
Yeah.
I'll submit 2 tomorrow.
Okay.
You know, John.
Sure, hold on, before she goes, is there anything we're looking for submittal on this?
Are you
No.
submitting anything? so far?
Gonna submit it tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're good, right? We can close the record?
Yeah, I just want to be clear. I sent an email today.
Yes.
There's a submission that was not found. So there's nothing further other than that one photograph from 2011, 2012.
11.
That's when it was a 1-story house. I submitted, that's the only thing I submitted in addition. You should have everything else digitally, but if we need more paper copies, I'll bring some tomorrow.
So Laura, you have this submitted then? I don't have to worry about that. Closing the record, right?
You have it digitally. We looked at it all night.
Okay. Well, that's not the one I'm looking at here. though. It's that one. Right. This is an additional drawing.
Do we need to leave the record open? No.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
In the matter of applicant Sean and Patricia Bratches at 138 Marine Boulevard, Beach Hampton, Section 1, map number 1203, Amagansett, Suffolk County tax number 300, map number 300-176-0405-24. Move to close the record in the public hearing.
I'll second that.
I concur.
I concur.
I concur.
Thank you. Our next hearing is Judy Myers at 2 Gardner Drive. Thank you, everyone. Amagansett, Suffolk Tax Map number 300-174-3-29. The applicant is Judy Myers. The size and location is 12,294 square feet at 2 Gardner Drive, Beach Hampton, Section 1, map number 1203 in Amagansett. The description is to allow a 34.5 square foot outdoor fireplace, including chimney and barbecue, on 192 square foot gravel area of 1,642 square foot slate patio with slate walkways, a 6-foot wood fence, and an AC unit to remain on the parcel within 150 feet of freshwater wetlands. The relief sought is a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255-420, and 10 variances are required. Variances from 255-430, wetland setbacks of 56.5, 60.1, 13.4, 64.1, and 7.6 are required to allow a chimney barbecue to remain 43.5, a slate patio to remain 39.9 feet, an AC unit to remain 86.6 feet, a gravel area to remain 35.9 feet, and a fence to remain 22.4 feet from wetlands where 100 foot is required. Variances from 255-1110 dimensional setbacks of 20.5 feet, 25.7 feet, 0.5 feet, and 8 feet, and 21.6 feet are required to allow a chimney barbecue to remain 9.5 feet, a slate patio to remain 4.3 feet, an AC unit to remain 29.5 feet and 22 feet, and a gravel area to remain 8.4 feet from the front yard lot line where 30 feet is required, and any other relief necessary from the East Hampton Town Code. The zoning district is B residence, E flood zone, elevation 10, and the secret class is type 2. Council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
Yes, pursuant to the Town of East Hampton Code, Section 255-9-23, we have dates of service of September 16th for both postings served at least 10 days prior to the date of this public hearing.
Thank you. And Joan, I guess you?
Hey,
Night for Joni.
demonstrating my lack of photographic ability, but there we go. So I'm standing on Gardner Drive, which is not paved, looking towards Montauk Highway. The white thing you see in the corner is one of those moving pods, and it sort of sits in the corner of the property a little before Montauk Highway. Next. This is just a little closer. The house is to the left and just a little closer. That was the posting sign, I think. And the next, you see that little wooden stick there? And the next is the posting sign on the ground. So I think maybe in the big rainstorm it came down. I'm not sure, but apparently it was posted. This is part of the front of the house to the right. Next. Tyler. That's the right side of the house. There's a fence to the left that runs behind the barbecue and runs the distance of the backyard. And I'm not sure, sorry, I wasn't sure from the maps and thing how much distance there was between there and the Montauk Highway, but you certainly can hear it. The Montauk Highway would be to the right. So now I'm going to the other side of the house, which is in front of the driveway on the left, the gates, and I go through the gates next, and there's a backyard to the left next. And to the right, you can see in in the foreground, a deck, and in the background, you can see the table on the gravel. Next. This is looking at the yard, standing in the back of the yard, looking forward on the left side of the yard, and there's a shed there. Next. That's the deck that I showed you before, looking at the deck. Next. This, I was trying to take a picture of the chimney and I sort of blocked, it's blocked by the tree. Next. You can see the table sitting on the gravel, and the chimney is still blocked by the tree. Next. There's the chimney, and you can see its distance from the fence. There's a better picture of the chimney in our materials. That's the lawn looking from the gravel table. This is exiting the gate. This is the right side of the property, the front, looking towards Gardner Avenue Drive, I mean. This is looking down Gardner Drive, away from Montauk Highway. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Any questions for Joan? Hey, Rick.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Richard Whalen. I'm an attorney, and I'm here tonight representing Judy Myers, who is with us tonight as well in the audience. I do have some photographs which I think might help in my presentation, so if I could, I'd just like to pass these around. So again, Richard Whalen, attorney for the applicant. Let me get my survey out here. Okay, Ms. Myers, just for the record, the hearing, the TAM states that she bought the property in 1998. She's actually owned the property since 1988. So for the last 34 years, Judy has owned this property. The property address is 2 Gardner Drive. It's in Beach Hampton. We've already had an application or 2, I think, in Beach Hampton, 2 so far tonight. The 3rd Beach Hampton application of the night. The property is frontage on 2 roads, Montauk Highway as well as Gardner Drive. There are a large number of variances, but there are only 5 structures involved. And they both, almost all of the variances either relate to setback from the wetland, which is to the northwest of the property within the Montauk Highway right-of-way, or to the Montauk Highway itself in terms of a front yard setback. So I'd like to address both of those items. First of all, with regard to the wetland, you'll see the wetland is off the property to the northwest within the right-of-way of Montauk Point State, not Montauk Point State Parkway, Montauk Highway, which is New York State Route 27. If you look at the photographs I have on the front page, I'm looking west. There is a ditch on the south side of Montauk Highway, which was built by New York State for drainage purposes. The right-of-way itself is rather wide. There is a distance from the northern property line of Ms. Myers' property to the actual asphalt, which is the asphalt shoulder, is a distance of more than 40 feet. And most of that 40 feet is thickly vegetated. The first photo is looking west. You can barely see the flag, the wetland flag, which is nearest. There is down vegetation in the foreground. That vegetation was down by New York State because, as you'll see in the next 2 photographs, they've recently been doing work within that ditch area. So the second photograph on the bottom of the first page shows I'll call it a diversion, a diversion channel. We are at the base of a hill just to the west, to the western end of the applicant's property. Montauk Highway rises rather steeply to the west. So you have runoff that comes down that hill on the south side of the Montauk Highway, and the state is diverting it into the ditch in question, which is to the north of the Myers property. That diversion channel is pretty much opposite where the outdoor fireplace and barbecue patio are. The third photo, which is the top of page 2, shows the actual backhoe. This was yesterday morning. The backhoe was not operating, but you can see it's come in from Gardner Avenue, takes its access, and they're digging out the ditch to keep it open, and I guess to keep sand in it so that it will drain. But that is a drainage ditch used by the state. So all in all, I would say the wetland in question is probably not a high quality wetland. If the state had need to go and dig it out, they probably would do that. They could keep going west, and they would just presumably eliminate the wetland. There's also overhead lines, overhead telephone poles, telephone lines that run through the same area. And you can see that in several of the photographs as well as on the survey. So I think it's important to bear that in mind when we consider the wetland setback variances from these different structures. The other thing I want to mention is the Montauk Highway itself with regard to front yard setbacks, because most of the other variances relate to front yard setbacks from Montauk Highway. Montauk Highway here is sort of basically a restricted access highway. None of the lots in Beach Hampton take direct driveway access from Montauk Highway. It's not used for access to the Myers lot or any other neighboring lots. As I noted, it's very thickly vegetated. If you're on the highway and you even bother to look towards the Myers property, you can barely see the house. And that's even with the work that the state has done within the ditch. And the highway the highway speed there is either, I think it's 45 miles an hour, either 40 or 45 miles per hour. So in terms of visual impacts, which is usually what the concern is with the front yard setback, really none of them apply. Let me just run through the last of the photographs, and then I'll hit the individual structures in question. On the bottom of page 2, the fourth photograph is just looking in along the north side of the Myers house. The fence in the rear there is the fence in question that is noted as needing a wetland setback. The top of page 3, I show that fence again. There is a cleared area to the right of the fence, as you can see. In 2013, I believe, Judy went and got ARB approval for that fence. That fence actually has Architectural Review Board approval, but it was originally on or close to the property line. And so when she moved it back, she has continued to maintain the area between that and the right-of-way. One of the things asked in the TAM is what we could do to control runoff towards the ditch. And one of the things that we could do is to allow that area to revegetate. We don't have any reason to keep it cleared. I have checked that with the applicant, and we're happy to revegetate that area between the fence and her property line. Bottom of page 3, actually, that's a pretty good photograph. It shows it's an outdoor fireplace, and to the left, the barbecue grill area. The brick patio in front of them is legal. The top of page 4, I'm just showing a photograph of the sand area where outdoor dining takes place, the gravel area. And then at the bottom of page 4 is the air conditioning unit in question, and I'll have more to say about that at the very end. So those are the structures in question. With regard to those, the wood fence, as I noted, has ARB approval. It obviously has no impact on the wetlands. I would think that's fair to say. It does provide some relief in terms of highway noise for the applicant, but it's not really visible from Montauk Highway. And really, none of this is really visible if you take a look from the Montauk Highway. The slate patio, so the slate patio is not really a patio. It's labeled as such. Here we're talking about the you look at the survey, just to the north or northwest side of the house, there is an area of slate, just labeled slate. It's really kind of a passageway. It's not something wide enough. They don't use it. She doesn't use it for dining. There's no outdoor furniture there. It's just sort of used to get by the north side of the house. And again, there's a slate walkway that appeared in one of my photographs that takes you out north of the house, and you can get out to Gardner Drive that way. And also she has her trash bin in that area as well. It's important to note, when you look at the survey, note where the house is placed, because that's why the barbecue area that we're talking about and why the gravel dining area are where they are. The house on the property predates zoning. My client tells me she thinks it was built in 1955. The southerly wing she built herself. That was approved in 1993. So the original house, for whatever reason, was positioned at the very northern end of the property. That's the locus of activity. The kitchen is actually the northwest corner of the house, so it's convenient. You can actually pass things out through the window to that brick patio, and that's why the barbecue area, and that's why the gravel dining area were put at that end of the property. It's convenient to the house because that's where the house was situated. The slate patio, again, is really just an access and doesn't appear to have any adverse effect on anything, I would say. The barbecue grill and the fireplace, I just explained they're located there because of their proximity to the kitchen. And the reason why all of that activity is at that end of the property is because that's where the house was built. They require front yard setbacks, though that structure, again, requires a front yard setback from Montauk Highway. But for all practical purposes, from the applicant's point of view, the Montauk Highway is essentially a side yard here. It doesn't have the normal characteristics of a front yard. There's no neighbor directly across the street. The street is the highway. And again, we don't have really visibility of the property from the Montauk Highway. And there is a 6-foot fence, which again has A or B approval in between the two. The gravel area is water pervious. It's underlain by sand. And again, the location is because that's where the house is at the northern end of the property. And lastly, the AC unit, I'm kind of baffled as to why we're even talking about that. The AC unit, I had my client measure the AC unit. It's 31 inches wide, 21 inches, so that's a little over 2 feet wide. It's 21 inches less than 2 feet tall, and it's 12 inches deep. It's a kind of a normal appendage to almost any house that's out here, and why it was singled out as an accessory structure, separate accessory structure needing setback variances, I don't quite understand. It's almost 100 feet. It's over 90 feet from the wetlands, and obviously the wetlands are on the far side of the house. It's also noted for a front yard setback variance from both the Montauk Highway and Gardner Drive. Gardner Drive, it's 29.5 feet from Gardner Drive. The required front yard setback for an accessory structure is 30 feet. The house could be 20 feet from Gardner Drive when it would be legal. So I don't think I have to say more about the AC, although I do think it might be something that you would perhaps want to consider taking up with the town board, that maybe AC units or compressors below a certain size should be exempt from setbacks, because it seems kind of silly to be talking about that. So that's really my presentation. As I said, in terms of mitigation of the control of runoff, I think the obvious thing here is that the area between the fence that's on the north side of the property and the property line, we can allow that to either revegetate, or if you prefer, we'd give you a revegetation plan, but we would allow that to revert back to its natural state.
So these structures were not there when the original house was built.
Right.
They were built without the benefit of a building permit?
Yes. First of all, the barbecue pit fireplace, I think, clearly should have gotten the building permit. The gravel dining area, lots of people do not think that gravel needs a building permit. Likewise, the slate on the north side of the property, I don't think most people would have applied for a building permit for that. And certainly the AC unit, most people would consider that to be part of your house approval. So I think the one thing that clearly should have gotten a building permit and didn't was the barbecue outdoor fireplace. Also, just for the record, there are a couple of bins in the area. One of them, I think, was photoed by Eleni. There's a bin on the western side of the property that is not ours. It's on our property, but belongs to the neighbor to the west. That's shown kind of in grayscale on the west side of the property. And the bin, just for the record, also the bin at the southwest corner of the property is shown on the neighbor's lot, and it is the neighbor's bin.
I was there today, and I didn't see a backhoe going. Doesn't mean they haven't been working. You're saying that yesterday you took this photo?
Yes, that photo was taken yesterday morning. The backhoe wasn't working when I was there, but it was present.
There were, when I was there was caution cones, construction cones all around Montauk Highway.
Yeah, that photo is from yesterday morning.
So what I'm kind of interested in, maybe you can't comment on this. I see the backhoe working its way along on the trench. The wetlands that are affecting this particular application sit to the northwest of I'm wondering how extensive this trench is. Am I looking at a 30-foot long trench from Gardner, or is it go?
It's very dense, so I didn't follow up there. From what I can see, I think the trench continues up the hill for some distance. I didn't get the sense that they were going to continue in that direction.
Yeah.
I think they were digging from that diversion, the asphalt diversion, back towards Gardner Drive. That was my impression. And that entire area was dug out.
You don't know the distance from the property line to the edge of pavement or the right of way?
Yes, over 40 feet. I scaled it from the survey. It's more than 40 feet.
The only other comment I'd have to make is that, and you've already made it, is that the fireplace and barbecue would have required something because it's an impressive structure that sits there on the property. So when you get there, you're immediately struck with it's quite well built, and it's an impressive structure, and it sits very close to the property line. So that should have come before somebody earlier than this.
Agreed.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Tyler Borsak again for the planning department. So I don't have much else to add. That was an excellent review of the project, what's in front of the board. Covered pretty much everything that's in the assessment. I just measured it out on the survey. It looks like roughly 43 feet between the property line and Montauk Highway, which was pointed out in the assessment. We also pointed out in the assessment that there are conforming locations on the property, or at least more conforming locations. But certainly the distance between the lot line and Montauk Highway has, plays into it, and the layout of the property also. But they are close to wetlands, whether they're being actively dug out by the state or not doesn't really affect as far as the town code is concerned. We don't differentiate between quality of wetlands. The town code protects wetlands. But certainly it's a unique circumstance on this property, to say the least. It's along the road, the Montauk Highway right of way, which does have active management, if you want to call it that. And it does have a significant distance between the property line and the street, which could affect the thoughts on the front yard setback variances. But other than that, I can answer any questions you might have. I do want to note that it looks like the patio was constructed sometime between 2010 and 2013, and that includes the patio and the barbecue area. And it looks like the gravel was constructed sometimes between 2020 and 2021. Just for your note. And it looks like the ARB did approve of fencing in 2013. They noted that a portion of the fencing needs to be relocated onto the property line, which the board may want to require that section in sort of the north west corner be relocated onto the property line rather than being on the neighbor's property. But other than that, I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions?
So which patio did you say? You're talking about the slate?
Or the one from 2010 to 2013? Yeah, that's like the patio on the north side of the house, the barbecue,
Slates.
the chimney, that whole addition of that area looks like around 2010 to 2013. And I can pull up the aerials if you want to see.
The brick and the slate?
Yeah.
And that-
I mean, there was a brick patio.
Because Rick said that the brick patio did have a
Right.
permit.
So this is the CO, which was 93. So there was a brick patio, obviously.
Okay.
And the aerials will obviously show that as well. Zoom in a little bit. So that's this year, 2022. 2010, not a great because it got a little more foliage, but in 2013, that's when the new structure starts showing up. And then 2020, there's no gravel area. 2021, you see the gravel. So that's more recent than the rest of those structures. But yeah, so that's just the rough time frame. It's not obviously perfect, but it gives you an idea.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
You're good? Rick?
Richard Whalen, just final comments here. Two things regarding the wetland. Just note that the property slopes very, very slightly from north to south. So the wetland, although because of the ditch, the bottom of the wetland might actually be slightly lower than the property. It's basically uphill from the property. And I would just submit that none of the structures, the nature of these structures is that none of them have an actual effect on the wetland, even though they are within 100 feet. And as far as the, Tyler pointed out, there are more conforming locations on the property for most of these structures. My client has told me as far as the gravel was concerned, she didn't know that she needed a permit for that. She just thought it was gravel. But the house is at the northern end of the property and the kitchen is at the northern end of the house. So the structures that we're really primarily talking about, I mean, the gravel dining area and the outdoor, fireplace and barbecue, they are where they are because they're related to the house. The other decks and brick patios on the property during the course of the application submittal or before, we determined they were all legal. So only those structures that I mentioned are actually before you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Public?
Check with public.
Oh, anybody in the public, Matt?
You have 0 callers. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Regarding applicant Judy Myers, located at 2 Gardner Drive, Beach Hampton, Section 1, map 1203 of Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-174-03-29. I make a motion to close the record and the public hearing.
I'll second.
I concur.
I concur.
I concur as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our public hearings for this evening. We'll enter our work session. We have administrative applications tonight, 2 of them. The first one is Harbor Marina of East Hampton Inc. at 39 Gann Road in Springs, Suffolk Tax Map Number 300-57-6-27.1. And it's to allow the maintenance and replacement of existing bulkheads, pilings, floating docks, piers, and ramps, and to allow reclamation dredging to a depth of 6 feet within 10 feet of the bulkheading for a period of 5 years. Tyler?
Sure. This plan is pretty much the easiest to go off of rather than the survey. They're essentially looking for maintenance permits. Most of this could go expedited, but except for the dredging portion of it, which is to a depth of 6 feet, just only 10 feet along the bulkhead here. We preferred that it go administratively, obviously. Since it is fairly straightforward, I think a permit of 5 years is reasonable to allow replacement of bulkheading, the docks, the pilings, and dredging. The dredge material will be deposited upland. Any dredging material along the island will be placed up there. Standard mitigation measures that we would have on any project like this will obviously be included, but it's fairly straightforward, I think.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
I just clarify what you said about what's happening to the dredge material. It's being deposited upland where?
Right. In this area, here, let me zoom in a little bit. It's hard to see. They sort of outlined it here, up way upland on this side, and then on the island, which is what they've done in the past.
Okay.
And it's in the boatyard.
Yeah.
Right, actually. Okay, any other questions?
I have no question.
No, I have no question.
Thank you. I'm okay with this going administratively, Tyler. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
I'm okay with it too. This is a very shallow part of the channel. It does get very shallow in there.
Want to make a motion, Denise?
Yes. Did you want to say something? No. Okay. In the matter of the Harbor Marina of East Hampton, Inc., 39 Gann Road, Springs, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 357-6-27.1. I make a motion that this application be processed administratively.
I'll second that.
Concur.
I concur.
I concur as well. Thank you. Next, we have Odessa, which is 70 Bayview Avenue in Amagansett, Suffolk Tax Map number 300-106-1-30.1, and is to construct a 720 square foot swimming pool with 697 square foot of decking, a 200 square foot pool house, propane tank, and pool equipment partially within jurisdiction of freshwater wetlands.
So this one's got a bit of a history with the board. The ZBA had an administrative approval, which is what this survey was, back in 2017, 2018. The only thing that it was in for at that point in time was the sanitary system. The rest of the project is located at a jurisdiction. You can see a 150-foot boundary line is shown on here. At that time, they had all the structures outside of that. Sanitary was less than 200. It's like 192, so it needed an NRSP. They're in today. They got a building permit later on. Same project, slightly different layout, different residence, which is under construction right now. Today, they are in to slightly modify the swimming pool and pool decking to be slightly within jurisdiction. They're proposing the decking to be 143 feet from wetlands, so just barely within jurisdiction. They are proposing additional revegetation that they hadn't proposed in the past to include this southern side of the eastern boundary and then the south side of the house as well. So a little additional mitigation, but not a significant project. You're looking at probably less than 400 square feet of total area within jurisdiction. And that's it.
Any questions?
And so what you're looking at here is that you're willing to, you're in favor of allowing it with this additional mitigation that they're offering. That's the trade-off.
Right.
And also, I think it's a minimal request. The setback for the wetlands is 100 feet, jurisdiction is 150.
Yeah.
So
it's, yeah, you're just barely within the board's jurisdiction.
It's Bayview.
I'm in favor of this.
Yeah, I'm fine with it as well.
Yeah, this would be posted, right?
Yes,
So if
20-day
there's an
double
objection-
posting.
Right, if there's a neighborhood.
Yeah, if there's any substantial objection, it'll come to the
It'll
board.
come back for public hearing.
Yeah.
I'm fine with this
Okay.
request.
Okay, in the matter of Odessa, 70 Bayview Avenue, Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-106-01-30.1. I make a motion to allow this matter to go administratively.
I'll second it.
I concur.
I concur as well. Thank you. We have a post-hearing decision this evening. This is one we tabled until our vice chair returned from daughter's wedding. So I was happy to have you back on this. The applicant is Jason and Jillian Hirsch at 56 Jacqueline Drive in Amagansett, Suffolk Tax Map number 300-176-5.1. The size and location is 10,886 square feet at 56 Jacqueline Drive, Beach Hampton, Section 5, map number 1763. The description is to construct a 133 square foot addition to the residence, demolition of existing shed, the construction of an 82 square foot plunge pool, and a 162 square foot pergola, 375 square foot of decking, a 40 square foot pool equipment enclosure, a 36 square foot front door roof overhang, pool fencing, and to install a new sanitary system on a parcel of land that contains beach vegetation and is with 150 feet of freshwater wetlands. Relief sought is a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255-420, and 12 variances are required, in total are required. 11 variances from 255-430 wetland setbacks are required. Variances of 96 feet, 47 feet, 46.9 feet, 41.4 feet, 37.1 foot, 24.9 feet, 23 feet, 23 feet, and 14.6 feet, and 6.1 feet to allow an existing wire fence to remain 4 feet, an existing AC unit to remain 53 feet, and to construct pool equipment 53.1 feet, an outdoor shower 58.6 feet, a pool deck 62.9 feet, a pool fence 75.1 foot, a plunge pool at 77 feet, pergola 77 feet, in addition to the residence 85.4 feet, and a roof overhang 93.9 feet from wetlands where a 100-foot setback is required, and a variance of 14 feet to allow existing clearing to remain 36 from wetlands where 50-foot setback is required. One variance of 4.9 feet is required from 255.11.10 dimensional regulations to allow the proposed pool patio to be located 15.1 feet from the side yard where 20 feet is required, and any other relief necessary from East Hampton Town Code. Zoning district is B residence, 8E flood zone, elevation 10, and secret class is type 2. So with that, maybe I'll ask member Vice Chair to kick us off.
Thank you. That was quite a mouthful.
It is.
The board will remember that the hearing for the Hirsch application was held on July 26, 2022. The survey we were working from that evening was from May 20th, 2022, but subsequently an additional survey was submitted to the board that was dated August 8th, 2022, which showed some of the changes that we'll discuss here to the initial application. The drawings that were produced by Eric Woodward Architect were dated April 25th, 2022, and were received by us on June 13th, 2022. The applicant was represented by Lori Wilshire of Land Planning Services. The property is located on the corner of Jacqueline Drive and Central Avenue. Originally, the application called for 12 variances in an NRSP. Land Planning Services, in a letter dated May 24, 2022, outlined changes that eliminated the need for 5 of those variances and modified and reduced the variance request for 3 more. That letter described the following changes to the original application. The proposed move of the existing outside shower closer to the wetlands was abandoned. Rain catch barrels for the roof rainwater and a drainage field for the outside shower and plunge pool were offered. The proposed pool decking was eliminated. The easterly property line fence was eliminated. The fencing currently in the scenic easement is to be removed, and the revegetated area is to be in the revegetated area there is to be increased in size. Additionally, at the hearing, Lori Wilshire outlined several other changes to the applicant's original request. The request for the roof overhang at Central Avenue side entry has been withdrawn, as has the plan to construct the 162 square foot pergola. At the hearing and in the Woodward plans, the plunge pool was described as a one-piece prefab unit that will be installed by means of a crane positioned partially on Central Avenue, eliminating the need for additional equipment at the rear of the residence. The pool is designed to be set 2 foot above groundwater at approximately 3 foot below grade. The owner's representative asserted that as a sealed, self-contained saltwater unit, it would pose little danger to the environment. Also, an IAOWTS septic system has been offered to replace the existing system and is to go in that same location. The result of these changes means that the new request by the applicant is for 7 variances, 3 of which have been reduced slightly. The TAM, however, points out that although typical to the surrounding properties, this parcel is nonetheless small at 10,886 square feet, and their entire duneland property is sensitive to change and overdevelopment. The parcel was apparently developed before modern zoning took effect, but a 2020 inspection showed that the parcel contained beach vegetation throughout, which requires this application to seek an NRSP in order to move forward with any form of construction. The August 8th survey lists the new proposed clearing numbers to be 4,231 square feet, and the extent of the proposed scenic the extent of the proposed scenic easement will remain at 23.5 feet from east to west, running from east to west along the south border of the property line. It is also worth noting that 6 letters of support were received for this application, and 1 call recommending the application's denial was received on the evening of the hearing. The applicant is asked to show that this proposed project raises to the level to satisfy the requirements of 255-4-20 in order to be granted an NRSP and to comply with the variance standards of 255-8-50. Specifically, A, whether the granting of the variance will cause an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood. B, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by another method. And C, whether the hardship to the applicant was self-created. On A, I don't feel that the variance sought will affect the character of the neighborhood. On B, I feel the applicant has made an effort to seek out alternative methods to achieve their goals. And on C, I feel that the hardship to the applicant is only self-created and that they have chosen to propose completing additional work to their residents on a tightly confined property. I think that the applicants in this case have made a reasonable effort to find and design ways to improve their residents without inflicting unneeded damage to the environment and to the character of the surroundings. And so I find that the effort proposed here does rise to the level that allows me to grant an NRSP. I think that while this project and all projects that are proposed in this environmentally sensitive portion of Amagansett have to be viewed with great scrutiny, that the concerted effort made by the team assembled by the applicant showed concern and deference for the environmental conditions on this parcel. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I am willing at this time to approve this application.
Thank you. Joe?
Participate.
We're good. Okay, thank you. Terry?
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Very complicated.
I agree with almost everything that the co-chair has said. I have a couple of questions and I'm open to discussion on it. You know, with this last submission that we received back on August 15th, 16th, the survey dated August 8th, there was a lot of discussion about the drainage and the drainage field that was put up. And then in this last iteration where they were going to look to improve it, to me, it looks so much smaller and I don't know, as opposed to what they had on the previous survey. And the thing I was very disappointed about in this submission is that there was a sketch from the planning department of a recommended area for the scenic easement, which followed where the proposed revegetation is, but also ran a line over to where the drainage field had been listed in the previous survey to this last one. And I guess I expected that they would increase the scenic easement as was recommended by the planning department in order to protect that entire area. So right now I'm leaning toward denying this based on the NRSP because I think that scenic easement should have been expanded back to what was recommended by the planning department. But I'm open to discussion on that. I think the other things that they did in terms of reducing the variances and that, were also good and well-intentioned and nicely done. The pool, it's a small pool, but it sounds, from all the documentation from Jandy and the methodology for installing the pool, it's very small and it seems like it's not a type of pool that could be likely to leak. And I believe they did state also that it doesn't even require backwashing or anything like that with this type of pool. So that's all good. But the one thing that still gets me is, that the scenic easement wasn't made larger with the changing of the drainage field. And I'm curious, did everyone think that drainage field compared to the one previously submitted is more? It just looks smaller. Yeah, I think they added one more rain barrel. So I'm concerned about the dune land and the vegetation on the property itself as far as meeting the NRSP standards.
Denise?
I know. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm tending to agree with, I definitely agree with Member Berger. And two, I'm concerned about the scenic easement and the dune land vegetation. There is beach vegetation throughout this entire parcel. Even in the letter dated August 15th, they referenced this as a tiny lot, which it is. It's 10,866 square feet. the subject parcel is undersized for B residential zoning. I think these development plans, I mean, they have brought it back, but they're still substantial for the size of the property. And the other thing is the applicant's purchase took place in 2021, and they had to be aware of the constraints of this property. So I don't think there was a lot of thought given to that. And I seem to be saying this all the time, but this seems to me to be an example of an overdevelopment on an undersized lot. I do not think it is in keeping with the natural resource special standards. 255-551, preservation of natural resources, and 255-540, compatibility with environmental protection. And for these reasons, I am leaning toward denying this application.
Okay, let's, I was gonna,
So we can talk about, another
I was
comment.
leaning more towards with the pullback on the application is approving it like our vice chair. So let's talk about that. Is there anything on this application that is particularly deniable, or is there, and vice versa, is there any particular thing that maybe we look at the application and say, this is what's bothering me? I know, Teresa, you said the easement, not expanding
Well,
that is.
yeah,
but
I mean,
what
there
about,
was,
we can talk about the
there was a
pool, we can talk
comment.
about the addition.
yeah, there was a comment by the planner, that the drainage field causes the additional clearing. Okay, so now they moved the drainage field, they made it smaller, but they
Well, visually
didn't add
smaller,
any
but I'm not
additional
sure. Yeah.
protection to the environment down there, down on the southern portion of the property. And it was suggested that the scenic easement be made larger than the 23.5 foot wide. So that, like I said, that was a disappointment because I think
But they did revise the drainage field, right?
Yeah.
well, they did, they made it,
And
they
I think
moved
it's
it over
engineered
and
to have the same capacity.
I know Eric Woodward Architects have been, very long time. So I don't,
I mean, I do think it's a lot of development on
Yeah.
that size of a property.
It's a 10,000, I mean,
And I think I probably would have ruled differently had they increased the scenic easement to afford that extra bit of protection.
So does your vote hinge on the scenic easement alone then, Terry?
I think with the addition of that, I would feel better about the natural resource special permit. Yes,
So
even
you
though it is still a heavy
the
development,
proposed easement is 23.5 feet, right?
right?
What would you, and then you have that colored area, which is the re-veg.
Mhm.
The easement, what do you think would be an adequate?
Well, I
easement?
thought, what the planning department had recommended, there was a sketch Tyler can probably show us there. Was what they had recommended.
So, I mean, would you go to a 30-foot wide?
What do you got?
Oh, like that?
Yeah.
But that would limit, then can they,
I mean, does that create another issue? I don't think so.
Tyler, is that well overdrawn on is that drawn on the new survey with the drainage?
No, this looks like the old one. This is what Lenny had drawn up. But yeah, this is on the November survey. So I mean, the drainage fields would be under there. There's an LP tank. You could write an easement to.
Can we condition it on an easement that is a larger easement? Is that an option? I'm asking the board. I'm just asking.
Can we legally? Yeah, I mean,
Well, I think
no,
we can
we can do
legally,
it.
I think we can condition an approval on it, because that seems to be the sticking point.
On a larger,
Correct,
on a
right?
larger
Yes.
protection of
So-
that area. Yes.
So what would that limit of the proposed easement being? Similar to Tyler's diagram originally, but not to interfere with the proposed clearing. So would you do it like 5 feet from the?
have the drainage, right?
Well, how much is, Tyler, how much is it
Really, let's bring it the line this way.
to where the proposed drainage field is in the latest? Oh, that is
30
the
feet.
latest. Okay.
What's the distance, like distance between the wetlands in there and the drainage?
No, for the scenic easement. If we bring it up,
That straight line to bring it up?
Bring it,
to
just like
30
bring it up
feet?
straight across?
Instead of 23 feet, if it was moved to 30 feet,
30 feet would be approximately
well, it
Yeah.
can't go into the,
like that.
what is that?
That's 30,
That's 30 feet.
roughly.
30 feet. And then can it go up a little, like 30 feet there, but we have to clear the. So you
Be
can't go up any-
32.
Now, well, okay, does that make an impact on the septic then?
That's, yeah, taken into, I mean, the bottom, just to, it's just adding to the record, but the bottom one there is an expansion tank. The chances of them ever needing that are very slim. But you should take it into consideration either way.
And let's be clear too, that I think the nexus for requesting a larger easement is because of the redevelop, the proposed development on this lot is to tighten it down in the future. And so, right, I think we want to cap kind of where this property can go. And I agree with increasing the easement here.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd make it 30 all the way across, though. I would like more in this, on this side where it's currently not protected.
well, remember that if whatever we do to increase the easement is going to constrict what you can do to work on the project that we're trying to approve. So if we approve it, they have to have access to it. So by increasing it to 30 feet, it's a bit of a compromise. It doesn't bubble up like you're hoping for, but it does increase the easement. It does on this restricted lot, this small lot, preserve a portion of it there that becomes a little more significant. And I'm not trying to talk you into it. I'm
Yeah,
saying
no,
that
I know,
for me,
no.
I judge that with
I
the
think
other
so, too.
improvements, I stood in a certain spot. But if we have to improve, or we have to improve the size of the easement, then that's a discussion.
For me, I have to say, I had a problem with the plunge pool from the beginning. And without the plunge pool, the septic system could actually be closer to the residents, which would be a greater wetland setback. You know, I don't know. There's a couple of things for me. It's not just the scenic easement.
Okay.
Was the
It's,
IA system required or offered as mitigation?
It's mitigation. It's not
Yeah, it's
required.
with the mitigation. It's, yeah. So for me, I think these plans are very substantial for the size of this lot. I've been consistent with that in the past. And I don't personally feel that they're in keeping with the natural resource special standards. That's where I'm going to stand on this.
Denise says it remains.
I'm definitely a denial. Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's not. Are we going to, I'll take it with the additional easement. I will, but I think if anything additional will
I
help.
agree with that.
Wish it was a little more than that on the left side.
It's going. Okay, so we have an agreement on a 30-foot easement?
Yeah.
Three of us.
Okay, thank you. It's 3-1.
What about Joan?
So council, we're going
She
to
doesn't
condition
really
approval on
want
the
it.
30-foot
Oh,
easement.
okay.
Got that?
Yeah, and can you just tell me again, which of I heard the roof overhang and the pergola were taken off of the application. What are the other ones that were taken off?
Pool deck, the plunge pool got relocated, taken out of pergola, roof overhang, and wire fence.
A lot of things got shifted around too. So we'll have to, if you want, we can go over the numbers another time. Because like things got shifted further away and, you know, the notice is way different now.
Yeah. Do you ever recap?
I have to go over it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you don't have a recap.
Yeah, we can do
right
that. We
now.
can, we can figure that
okay.
out before the
All
decision's
right.
written. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Next, we have minutes of approval,
What was last week?
September 20th.
Okay.
No, we have,
Yeah, make a
we have
motion to
Nicholas
approve
Gregory.
the,
Oh, we have Nicholas Gregory, I'm sorry.
oh, okay. Never mind.
Decision on amending the resolution. Council, you might want to give us a rundown quick on this.
Right, so this would be for Nicholas Gregory. The hearing date on this was October 19th, 2021. At that time, the application was approved. At a subsequent time, more evidence was presented that there was a septic tank that was very close to the neighbor's well. Since then, there's been a lot of communications between the neighbors, and the application of the approval was suspended. The suspension of that actually runs out on October 5th. As such, the purpose of the application was to construct the 730 square foot of the first and second story additions, a 390 square foot roof deck and the outdoor shower, upgrade the sanitary system, replace the existing walkway and clear the vegetation on a parcel of land containing the duneland and beach vegetation. Again, like I said, you guys did, the board did approve the application. I think everyone approved it. Yes, everyone concurred except Denise abstained from
Yeah, I
it
wasn't
at that point.
I dissented, yeah. I wasn't at that hearing.
Right. So we have abstaining, we have Denise, everyone else concurred. What we suggest, or what I suggest that we do to amend the determination, make sure that the suspension does not continue and that the applicant doesn't have to come and start over the process again, is add to the determination one sentence. It would be another requirement for the approval. It would be under section 5, additional conditions and time limitations, would be to add the sanitary system shall be relocated and upgraded in the location and to the specifications indicated on the approved survey / engineering site plan under the direction and approval of the Suffolk County Department of Health Services. It is my understanding that the applicant actually does have the approval already for this, and that they have been working towards getting this completed. So it seems to be in term with everything that has progressed since the suspension has occurred.
Right. I have.
I'm sorry.
So what the thing is, we had the well that was they thought originally was public water,
Right.
and we
Right,
found out
yeah,
there was a
I
well
remember
there.
that, yeah, so we
So
suspended it.
I think it's a good resolution to say we're amending our approval on the fact that it's basically saying providing there is a solution to the septic system. Right, in short, in summary. So we don't have to worry about a suspension anymore. Our approval is because Suffolk County is not going to approve a septic system with a well within 100 foot. So it puts the onus off us basically and puts it on the condition of the approval.
What if they?
Well, I thought the applicant was already working with the neighbor.
We're not going to. I don't think this board should get involved in.
Well, I don't want to be involved
in negotiation
until it
between
changes.
neighbors. So I think it's smart for us to get kind of the monkey off our back and say, we approved it. It's subject to Suffolk County approval, whatever that may be.
But if that septic system gets moved in a way that would have changed anything else, we don't have a say in it. I'm not saying we should, I'm just asking, that's what
Septic
we're
gets
saying.
moved to where it conforms to the current conditions. One being
Good point.
somebody
This
else's
is a valid
well.
point.
Provided, however, why don't you just say, provided, however, all other conditions are complied with?
Right, it is in compliance. The decision that you guys made stays the same. What we're doing is adding an additional condition because of the evidence that was presented after you guys made the original decision. So the original decision did not take into effect that the neighbor had the well. So once the evidence was presented, it was suspended based on that fact only, the approval. This is just essentially saying, okay, the approval still stands as long as the septic system and the well are all in conformity and Suffolk County has given their approval and their blessing. I mean, if Suffolk County doesn't give their approval, they'll be back in front of you anyway for another application to either move the septic system or decide it. But like I said, I do believe that there has been evidence presented by the applicant in this case that the approvals for Suffolk County has been submitted, and that
Maybe we can we put in wording there as indicated in the approved survey?
Sure, you do whatever you want.
I think that would settle it.
I think it's on, well, I have the sanitary system. You want to,
So they've made an application to Suffolk County now for a different location?
No, they're not. They're hooking up the neighbor to.
They're hooking neighbors
to
getting
public water.
Problem goes away once that happens.
Okay.
Yeah,
That solves the problem.
and that solves the issue with the septic system. That's the language under.
That clarifies it. I thought the
Take a
solution
look
was
at it.
coming
It's
out
okay.
of the
You
other
can
side.
see it.
Okay.
Located and upgraded in the location and to specs indicated on the approved survey level under direction and approval Suffolk County Department. Okay, well, what's the approved survey? The one we have?
Yes, the one that you guys already
Because
had on
once
file.
They go on public water, there's no issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm okay with it. You
Yeah,
gotta do something on
Are we
it.
adopting this evening?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Can I make a motion to adopt the second amended determination for Nicholas Gregory of Suffolk Tax Map number 300-131-6-16 as written?
I'll second it.
I abstain.
Yeah, thank you.
And Jones abstains.
All right, now we have the minutes of approval for September
Okay.
20th.
I'd like to make a motion. for the East Hampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals approval of the minutes from September 20th, 2022.
I second it. I concur.
I concur as well. We have two resolutions tonight. Clifford Shapiro.
We do. You'll have to bear with me. How much information do you guys require?
Brief, just a brief outline.
Rundown of what
Very,
it
very brief.
Where was it?
We've-
and How did we
we've all
vote?
read it.
Very
Read the
brief.
whole thing.
We've all read it. I've read it 10 times.
All right, perfect. I know you guys have. So this hearing date was back in May 24th of 2022 in the matter of Clifford Shapiro. The purpose of the application was to construct a 638 square foot first floor addition outdoor shower, approximately 180 square foot of decking, a hot tub, relocate the pool equipment, AC units, LP tanks, generator, approximately 182 square foot garage, then driveway extension, fencing, sanitary system upgrade, and clearing within the jurisdiction of the freshwaters land. They were seeking a natural resource special permit pursuant to the East Hampton Town Code. I do not believe any variances were required for this one. It was just based on the permit.
Was when they removed, right? Yeah.
Essentially, the application was denied to construct the 638 square foot first floor addition, the outdoor shower, and approximately the 180 square foot of decking, the hot tub, the relocation of the pool, the AC units, LP tank generator, approximately the 100 square foot garage, bin driveway extension, fencing, sanitary system, and the clearing. Concurring were Roy, Edward, Teresa, and Denise, and then abstaining was June at the time. You guys need more than that?
Well, I didn't.
No.
Okay. All right.
You know you have to get home.
I abstained because I didn't participate
You weren't
in the
here, yeah.
hearing.
Right.
So. I don't know if it's technically an abstention or not.
There is a footnote underneath the abstaining that says member Morgan McGivern was not a member of the zoning board at the time of the public hearing. It's not participating in the rendering the determination.
Then in the matter, we done? Then in the matter of Clifford Shapiro, 8 Ocean Lane, Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-176-3-10, I would like to make a motion to accept this determination as written.
A second.
I'll concur.
I concur.
Everyone was thinking about it.
I'm like the newbie. I don't know.
Next, we have Maureen Goldberg at 28 Holly Hill Road at Amagansett, Suffolk Tax Map number 300-127-2-50.
Right, so this was the public hearing was held on June 28th, 2022, and this was to construct a 480 square foot garage with the porch driveway, a 256 square foot addition to the residence, and to allow a 5.25 square foot generator and a brick walkway stone patio to remain on the property. They were going to remove 151.3 square foot shed, 112 square foot deck with outdoor shower, and a 36 square foot brick walkway that was on some of the freshwater wetlands. This was approved by the board to allow the construction of the garage with the driveway, the addition to the residence, to allow the generator to remain where it was and the brick walkway as well. But we also approved and conditioned it on the removal of what they did state in their public hearing, which would be in the application, the removal of the shed, the 112-foot deck and outdoor shower, and the 36-foot square foot brick walkway, excuse me. All concurring were Roy, Edward, and Teresa. Dissenting on this application with regard to granting of the variance of the 11-foot to allow the proposed garage to be constructed was Denise. Dissenting with regard to the granting of a leave to allow the existing generator to remain in its current location was also Denise.
And we've got the IA system in there, right? The IA system. If they're
Well, they have to
upgrading the
upgrade,
septic,
they have to, yes.
that was in there, right? I thought I read it.
I thought I read it too.
I read it, yes, I think it is in there.
Let's make sure.
Let me double check.
Because they have to upgrade, because the one that.
Yes, it's conditions of approval under number 3.
All right. Okay.
I got this.
Go ahead, good.
In the matter of the application of Maureen Goldberg, 28 Holly Hill Road, Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-127-2-50, I make a motion to accept the determination as written.
Second.
I concur.
I concur as well. Thank you. Vice Chair?
Then I'd like to make a motion to close the East Hampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for September 27th, 2022 for both the public hearing and the work session at 9:01 p.m.
Second that.
I concur.
I concur as well. Thank you.